Hi guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. In this video, I'm going to be looking into the question, what would a tarot reader tell them about you? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Black Tourmaline. Group 2 is the Apatite. And Group 3 is the Clear Quartz. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Black Tourmaline. So let's see, what would a tarot reader tell this person about you? Okay, we have territory, dominance, and teamwork. So it feels like they would tell this person, this is interesting, I'm hearing back off. So it feels like you are very strong within your personal boundaries at this particular point in time, almost like somebody who's closed for spiritual maintenance. You're beyond the point of accepting crumbs. This tarot reader would caution them, like, if you're going to approach, you better be ready and willing and able to fight to earn a place back in this person's life, to fight, to fix anything that has been broken, fight to prove yourself trustworthy. Or, you know, if this is somebody that would be like approaching for the first time, you better be ready to kind of fight to prove that you're not just a waste of time or a repeat of some old cycle. Because this individual, you, the viewer, you have your sights set on bigger and better things. A tarot reader would tell them that you have gone through or are just coming out of some kind of period of like deep metamorphosis. You shed a version of yourself and it's like a new you that is emerging. So if this is somebody that you knew from the past, the tarot reader would almost tell them, like, you better prepare yourself to make like a new first impression, or it's like you're meeting this individual for the first time because they've changed fundamentally. They are not the same person that you remember, and that's a good thing. This tarot reader would tell them that you've become very empowered, very certain of yourself, that you are divinely guided, divinely protected, that you're kind of following a pathway that others can't necessarily perceive, and that you're working very closely with your spirit team, who is kind of the final say, or like the gatekeepers almost, that determine who gains access to your energy in a way that results in kind of positive reinforcement in the form of signs and synchronicities that would be like your spirit team giving the green light. But your spirit team is also not shy about like stepping on necks and being like, no, you're not going to come and interfere with this process. You're not going to come and knock this person off their square. You know, you're not going to come in and mess around, because there's a different sort of thing going on at this particular point in time. The tarot reader would likely tell them that, you know, love and romance is not your first priority at this point in time. So maybe there's like other goals that you're working on, or you've just kind of shifted the place of priority that the idea of like a relationship with another person takes in your reality. Like it's taken a back seat instead of center stage, and you've got the full support of your ancestors and spirit teams in that, because you are aligning with some kind of bigger purpose. Maybe it's even kind of like stepping outside of that cycle of having to alchemize past pains into wisdom. So now you've kind of like raised that vibration. The state stakes have been raised. It's almost like you're entering this territory where it's like a higher quality or caliber of experience awaits you. And so potential suitors better be ready to kind of up the ante on what they're bringing to the table. If they want to not just be considered or acknowledged or recognized by you, but almost kind of given permission through the subtle realms, through your spirit guides, your spirit team, your angels, your ancestors, as far as even getting in close. There's a sense that a tarot reader would tell them that you have a lot of strong spirit guides or a lot of strong ancestors that are very clear in their communication with you, as far as like you don't have to sit and pick apart like what's a yes, what's a no, what's something that is a thumbs up coming from this person or this spirit guide versus what is something that they're signaling me to kind of avoid. And you listen to that. You're very trusting as far as that is concerned. So maybe a lot of people have let you down, or if this is somebody you dealt with, previously, it's like they let you down enough that you've kind of turned the matter over to spirit. You're not going to hear this person out without kind of consulting with sort of the subtle realms first, because maybe you learned the hard way what the effect of kind of going against those signs and synchronicities that might have cautioned you in the past, what that was. And so if this would be like a past person checking in, or sort of checking the temperature of the situation, like should I return, is it a good idea, they would be cautioned almost like don't come in and try to think you're going to pull the wool over this person's eyes, because even if you're able to fool this 3D person, their spirit team, their ancestors, their spirit guides has your number and is not gonna let you kind of do the same thing or get away with the same thing that you have in the past. Or if it's somebody new, it would almost be kind of the advice of like, people have done this person dirty, have given them the runaround, and it's offended this person's spirit team or this person's ancestors. And so any new person that wants to come in, it's like different rules, different criteria, like that time of just going through those negative experiences. It's kind of like you've concluded that in some sort of way. And so your kind of spiritual assistance is creating or is reinforcing some kind of energetic boundary between you and like bullshit that would come in and just sort of set you off course in some way. So let's see what else a tarot reader would tell them about you. Okay, we got wings of light, becoming something new. Precognition, psychic ability and future vision. And summoning power, instinct, intellect, and control. Yeah, so you've gone through a rebirth, you are going through a rebirth, whatever might have been like a compelling factor between you and this individual. If this is a past person, it's like you've shed that conditioning, you've outgrown that version of yourself, you've shed that skin. This is a new you with a new mindset, a new attitude, a new energy. You're not the same person this individual remembers, but there's also a sense here of like, if they're up to the challenge, this is an opportunity for them to summon their courage, to summon their power, to do something that they hadn't considered doing before in terms of fighting for love. That it's going to require work and sacrifice on their part, but if they're willing to go the distance with that very honestly, then there's a sense of almost like the two of you have the ability not to kind of like fall in love, but to rise in love. You've quantum leaped, or you are getting ready to quantum leap onto a new timeline, which it feels like this tarot reader may tell them like time is of the essence as well. They don't have a whole lot of time to sit around and think. It's kind of like, are you up for this or are you not? Because once you, the viewer, are like fully kind of rooted in or anchored into kind of this new reality that you're calling in for yourself, or they're stepping in through kind of whatever sort of alchemy you've been doing behind the scenes, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, physically, there's a sense of like, certain lower vibrations of energy or experience are locked out from that. They can't gain access to it. It's too high of an octave. It's too high of a frequency. It might even be where certain doors of opportunity are getting ready to open for you that take you into kind of a new world where previous people or types of people or certain kinds of people can't access that. They're not on your radar. They're not able to kind of like reach out and touch you. They're not able to have that communication. Your life is getting ready to look very different than it has looked up to this point in time, but there's still an opportunity for someone that would be eager and willing and able to kind of get on board with that, to do just that. There's a sense here that this tarot reader would probably also tell this person that the two of you are like kindred souls or kindred spirits, but the choice is up to this individual, whether that is karmic in nature, and if that, like specifically if that idea of karma, is it good karma or bad karma? Like it feels this tarot reader would tell this person, like, if you choose, like, if this is your mission, if you choose not to accept it, in terms of that kind of like, you got to bring something more to the table, you got to cut the bullshit and come correct. If they're not willing to do that, if they're not willing to put in the effort, put in the time and effort and kind of trust in that process and be like an enthusiastic participant with it, then there's a sense of like, this tarot reader would say you're gonna regret that. You're gonna look back at that choice, and it's gonna be something that you may not get that opportunity again in a future lifetime, or it's going to determine the course of events romantically for you. Like, this is a major decision. It might even be this kind of energy of sort of like, if you choose to be in your ego and you come forth like a brute trying to just sort of exert your will and control the situation, then there's going to be a repercussion from this person's ancestors or spirit teams, and it's going to be a lesson that you're going to experience the echo of for the rest of this lifetime, in terms of this acute kind of understanding of sort of the right role within equal partnerships, rather than forcing things, that it's a matter of like responding and like equal give and take, putting an effort and receiving effort in kind. That either way, it's kind of like, if this person doesn't feel ready, doesn't feel they're up to the challenge, is uncertain or confused, or they bring in a chaotic energy, then they activate good karma for themselves by just staying away, remaining in the shadows, moving off in another direction, and then things will go really well for them. But if they come in and create disruption for you, it's almost like there's going to be hell to pay in some kind of way, maybe just in the form of like a gnawing regret, because they're closed out of your reality. You push them away. Your spirit team, your ancestors, creates such a situation that it's like, no, they knock on the door, but you don't let them in, or you kick them out just as quickly as you've kind of given them an opportunity to speak their piece. And that's sitting with them, that kind of humbling energy. There's a sense that this tarot reader would also tell this person that you're incredibly psychic. If they thought you were intuitive or psychic before, that your gifts have activated or strengthened on a new level, or you're able to use them in a different way that you did before, because you've trusted in those signs and synchronicities. It's almost like your greatest coworkers are your spirit team, are your ancestors. And this is not a group chat that this person can get into. That even if they do and say everything right, and something develops between the two of you, or you're able to repair a circumstance, there's a sense that this tarot reader would say you have to be comfortable with the fact that you will always be an outsider within this relationship, with this individual, with you, the viewer, and that spirit team, and those ancestors. That is kind of like an invite-only situation, and even the deepest love, the deepest romance, the best partner wouldn't gain access to that, because this is something very unique to you as a soul, to you as an individual, because of your journey and your experiences. So something to be mindful of in terms of that clarity and that honesty, that it's like, if you don't pick up on inconsistencies or kind of foolishness on this person's part, then you'll be made aware of that one way or another. And you're at a point in your journey or with who you are as an individual that you take those kind of messages from the subtle realms very seriously. You read energy. You don't read words, you read energy. And so this is something also to be like mindful of when considering approach and communication. So let's get a couple more and see what else a tarot reader would tell this person about you. Okay, we have traveler, move in a new direction. Animal guardian, trust your instincts. And hermit, retreat and recharge. Yeah, some more of that energy of like you are highly psychic, you are an empath, you are highly in tuned to yourself, to the rhythms of the world around you, to what exists within people, both the light and the shadow within. It's almost like you can read people better than they are able to read or comprehend themselves. So with that is almost a sense of kind of like, if this is a past person and they were kind of like overwhelmed by your energy or, very intimidated by it, a tarot reader might almost tell them like, get ready to be more intimidated. If you thought this person's energy was overwhelming before, it may overwhelm you even more now, which ties this idea of like, think before you speak. Take a moment to really consider, am I ready to go the distance with this individual? Because it feels like this is the energy of like, you're moving forward in your life, onward, upward and onward into bigger and better things. And there's still a window of opportunity for this person to come in and either initiate something, if this would be like a new connection, like a secret admirer, someone's got a crush on you and they're like, I don't know, should I, shouldn't I? There's a sense of like, yeah, go for it, but this is not going to be like an ordinary situation. This isn't just going to be like, okay, we snuggle up and get all comfy and everything just stagnates. There's a sense of like you're at a place in your life or in your journey energetically or actually where doors of opportunity are going to open for you. You're forward minded. You have evolved beyond past versions of you that would have just settled for less than you deserve. And so anyone that comes towards you, whether it's past person or new person, it's almost like you got to be ready to grow and evolve and change. You got to be ready to be seen for who you are and triggered and compelled into this energy of owning that fully, or standing in the midst of being loved for your most unlovable parts of self, or encouraged to course correct so you become more balanced within, bring more balance into a partnership. That this is a sense that it can be an easy partnership or an easy romance for someone who is willing to kind of step outside of their comfort zone, and maybe even the idea of your spirituality, your psychic abilities, your, connection to your spirit guides and ancestors. That could be something that overwhelms and intimidates or like scares this person. And so there's a sense that this tarot reader would tell them like, you better get comfortable with that. You better educate yourself. You better kind of get some new information or open your mind or just be willing to kind of adjust your perceptions to feel that fear. Almost they'd also tell them like, you won't judge them for being afraid or uncertain or nervous, especially if it's like outside of this person's wheelhouse completely, or, they were raised in certain traditions to believe certain things, or just whatever that looks like. There's a sense of like, you'll be very patient as they learn, as they acclimate, as they become comfortable with that, or inform themselves of what that's like for you, that experience for you in real time. But you're not going to sit around and coddle somebody's fears. You're not going to like sit around and wait. Your spirit team and your ancestors won't allow you to kind of derail yourself from the progress that you've made, waiting for someone to kind of ready themselves to stand with you in an empowered sense. So this would be encouragement that like, this would be a challenge to repair the situation with you or to commence something new. But if this person's up for that adventure, that it would be something that would be very rewarding. It would open new doors of possibility for them in romance. You'd bring a very different energy and experience to the table compared to who they've had in romance previously, because of who you are or what you've been investing in your journey, whatever that looks like. It's an opportunity for something more than this person has known before, but they can't just be on the receiving end of that. So it'd almost be kind of like, take a pause, take a moment, think about it if you really want to pursue this, because if you're not sure or you're bringing those fear-based energies in, your highest good is better served by just kind of sitting this one out. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got X, H, U, O, N, D, F, R, W, B, V, R, D, T, J, C, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you'd like a personal reading, there's a link for that in the bio. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Apatite. So let's see, what would a tarot reader tell this person about you? Okay, we have teamwork, release, and preparation. So this is the energy of like someone who's ready to give up. So this tarot reader may tell this person that like you have taken steps energetically, emotionally, actually, to release the idea of a future that is prosperous between the two of you, either because this person has given you very little hope to hold on to, or trust has been so fractured, or if you've been in like no contact for a while, like the silence between the two of you has been so deep and so long that you have had like no other choice but to set your sights elsewhere, to move forward with your life. It feels to be something that this tarot reader would encourage this person to maybe begin their same process of releasing the idea of the situation. That in some sort of way, them like checking in or questioning this circumstance, it's keeping an energetic cord between the two of you alive from their end of the equation that you've taken steps, you've taken measures to make sure is severed on your part. And so it's a sense of almost like, in order to have some kind of fresh start, this person needs to kind of do something very like open and obvious that lets you know that there's the possibility for reunion. But for a lot of people, it might almost be something where like, if this person is sort of like, okay, I don't want this connection, I don't want anything to do with this person, but I'm still going to look at it, I'm still going to look in, I'm still going to check in energetically, that a tarot reader might almost tell them like, this is going to spiral into becoming like this person, the one that would be getting the reading, kind of addicted to your energy, in that energy of pursuit. Like if you at one point in time were the chaser in this situation and they were running from you, you've discontinued that chase. You've leveled up in some way, you've healed certain things, and so it's almost like tables turning to where they would assure this person like, you're not feeding energy into this anymore, you're not checking up on them anymore, you're not holding out any hope for anything different to happen in this lifetime. So if this person wants a different result, then kind of now they're in the energy of sort of fiending for your attention, fiending for your energy, fiending for this experience, then they got to come in and do something, because it feels to be something as well that this tarot reader would tell them that part of how you were able to kind of disconnect from this energy or like cut those cords effectively is you purged, you grieved, you felt the full range of feelings. You've like put the situation to rest. You're not waiting for vindication. You've created that closure as best as you can. You like sewed up this wound in some sort of way. And so there's a sense of kind of like idle attempts to sort of get your attention, even kind of pulling at your energy, that there's a sense of like you're moving beyond kind of taking the bait, giving into that, feeding into that, you're no longer giving your power away to this circumstance, which could either come as a relief to this person or it could be like very disappointing. There may be some indicator from that tarot reader that depending on how they feel about that, or like after the tarot reading, it may be something like, okay, now it's your turn to go in that dark night of the soul. Now it's your turn to feel out in the cold. Now it's your turn to experience what you put this person through in terms of like denying a connection, running from that energetic bond, kind of being closed off to the experience. Because as far as like these energies are coming through for you, the viewer, you're moving forward. It may even be something where they could tell them like you've met someone or someone new's on the horizon, and because you've taken these steps to kind of create closure for yourself in this other circumstance, that this person better prepare themselves to experience a drop off in your energy. They wanted you to leave them alone, to not pursue them, to go find someone else, whatever that sort of looked like. And it's like you've taken that advice and you're doing just that. Or if you've met someone recently, like that has happened. And so the cycle has effectively been broken that the two of you used to be in, like you and this person getting the reading. So let's see what else they would tell them. Okay, we have harvest, gathering of blessings, opening heart, deep connections, water blessings, and wisdom, learning, joy, art, and music. So with this harvest energy, I'm hearing you got what you want. So there's a sense that if this person had cut you off, cut the situation off, or was just kind of like playing games in some sort of way, you've called their bluff and you have moved forward. You have let the situation go. You've released the possibility of reunion or anything further kind of developing between the two of you in this lifetime, which may be sort of like a rude awakening that this individual needs. If they're not in that energy of feeling like relief, for some people when they hear this, when they get this reading, and then whatever they experience energetically or actually, that may be enough for them to kind of loosen this grip of sort of like, okay, I don't want to be with this person, but I can't stop looking at them. Like this may effectively close out any sort of soul contract you could have with one another. So this could actually be like a sigh of relief, like a true parting of the ways, in peaceful energy, quietly, internally, for each of you, so you can go forth and live your lives separately. But for some, this is going to be almost that sinking feeling, like that wasn't what I wanted. Now that this reality of this experience is here, now that this person took my words seriously and they pushed on with their life, or I left them hanging on to hope and I never delivered, or, there was just kind of no good reason for them to continue to kind of invest belief in this situation. Now I see. Now I see what I could have had now that it's gone. Now I want it because it's not here. That idea of like we pursue that which retreats from us. So tables are getting ready to turn. Where it's a sense of like they may almost start to be kind of like hungry for your attention, or a sense of like they could start going through withdrawals from this kind of lack of what you were feeding in terms of the full range of emotions going towards this person. There's a sense here, though, for some people, this might almost be kind of like bad news. This person may be somebody who was returning to or planning on like returning from the past, and they're like, okay, I'm ready now. I've prepared myself. We've had this time apart. Let me just kind of like check in and make sure that like, okay, everything's a go and I can move forward. And when they hear this, like, You've released this connection, you've cut these cords, you've done your healing, you've done your shadow work, you're putting yourself out there, you're being social, you're meeting new people, or someone new has come in. This could be something that is almost like the worst news this person could receive. Like, what do you mean? I've been making these plans and preparations. I was going to have this grand reemergence in this person's life, this cinematic moment, the knight in shining armor, and they rush off into the sunset with one another. What do you mean they're now building that dream with someone else who didn't need to come in and apologize, who isn't having to kind of like check the temperature of the situation through a third party before taking action in the material sense? And so this might be something that, and I'm hearing you're going to know what love is. So this is somebody that's like, that would be told, like, you're going to understand now what this person went through on account of you in this circumstance. You're going to feel that now. It's not just going to be something where you get a status update on social media and you're disappointed, but like, you're going to feel this void, energetically speaking, the more that this person, that you, the viewer, moves forward in your life, or if like a new connections come in or you're starting something new, like this person's going to actually feel it. They're going to be turned into a believer in terms of the empathic connection between the two of you. A cord of possibility that now is only fed through the energy of interest on their side of the equation, because they've given you no other choice but to like disconnect with this on a multi-leveled capacity. That there's a sense of almost kind of like, there may also be a need to sort of have this person experience losing you or missing out on this circumstance because of the tactics they used in the past, or things that played out, what was said, what was done, kind of the nature of the circumstances they unfolded between the two of you, that there's a sense of almost kind of like better luck next time. Maybe in another lifetime you'll figure this out, or it may even be something where the tarot reader could tell them like there's a chance for the two of you to like reunite, but it's far off in the future. You've missed that window of opportunity. You've missed the boat. And so now you're going to have to sit this one out, because this individual, this viewer, this person that the individual you're asking about would be getting the tarot reading about, you deserve love. You deserve a positive experience in romance. You've discontinued chasing them, chasing their affections, trying to earn their love. You stepped out of that pick-me kind of energy, and now you're about to be chosen by somebody who isn't gonna like put you through these things, or is kind of an alignment, like a true energetic alignment, as compared to what is almost like a mismatch. Like this person has kind of created a mismatch. They've sealed their fate in some kind of way. And so it feels like what they might have assumed was just kind of like an open pathway or portal towards you, or you'd always be chasing them. You would always be holding on to that hope. It's like the unthinkable has happened. No, you evolved. You did that for a period of time, and you're not doing that anymore. And now this person is getting ready to experience the nature of what your energy was feeding into them, what this experience truly was. This may be somebody now that is getting, that the tarot reader would tell them, like, you need to look up twin flames, with these two little swans here. You need to look up soulmates. You need to educate yourself, because there's like a higher level bond in this circumstance that doesn't speak to like the inevitably of happily ever after. Like this person set a cycle in motion, and now they're getting ready to kind of experience life on the other side of the glass, closed out of the reality. It's almost like needing to be a spectator in your reality, watching you move forward with your life and being loved properly by another person. And maybe that's already happening at this point, or it's getting ready to happen. But there's a sense of almost like there's nothing that they could really say or do to stop that, unless they came in and kind of like promised you the world and delivered upon that. So there's a sense of kind of like, after what's happened and what you've been sort of forced to do for your own peace of mind and your own well-being, that this person, the only way that they could kind of turn this situation around is by doing everything they didn't do before. by taking a crash course in, high-level soul connections, twin flames. Not all twin flames are meant to be in 3D physical romantic union in this lifetime. And so this may be something where that concept even of a twin flame, this tarot reader could point to that and sort of like, yeah, now do you get it? Now do you see what this is? This person has cut this cord, but you're now going to be on the receiving end of feeling their joy with another person or in the midst of their own life, knowing that you are not the one contributing to that, that they've achieved that or cultivated that for themselves despite you. And perhaps this is kind of how the nature of this dynamic needed to be formed and forged so you could learn a lesson for the future incarnation. If you encounter this again, you pull it close. You work with these energies, because with or without you, this is the sense of a tarot reader telling them, like, you, the viewer, the universe wants you to experience high vibrational partnership. The universe wants you to experience that high vibrational love. And this person had an opportunity to be that with you, and they chose not to. And if this is resonating with you, it's like they gave you every reason in the world to not hold space for anything different in this situation. Either it's been a really, really long time and you're like, I got to move forward, or whatever was said and done, there were like no indicators other than your sensing of like an energetic connection for a while, or, a few things that might have happened here or there that would give you any reasonable belief that like, there's something exceptional and there's a reason to keep an open heart and an open mind about it. Like, you've evolved enough on your own journey that you're able to kind of like, okay, it is what it is, but I'm living in a 3D experience and I deserve love. I deserve a partnership. I deserve someone that is going to work with me and not push me away or deny me. And so in a sense, it's almost like this person that would be getting the reading, they'd be told like you're about to get kind of a lesson in love, and what you do with that, what you're able to kind of create possibly in this with this individual moving forward, or maybe it's just kind of food for thought for another lifetime. It's important, and it's kind of the evolution of the nature of this dynamic. So let's get a few more just to wrap this up and see what else a tarot reader would tell them about you. Okay, we have High Priest, intend and create. Drum, dream and journey. And Trader, exchange energy to create abundance. Yeah, so with this energy of like the drum, I'm hearing time's up. So it feels like this person had time. They were given ample opportunity in order to come to terms with their feelings, fix the situation, work with you actually and energetically, and they dropped the ball. They didn't do it. So there's a sense of like you're being replaced. There's another person that is coming in who is aligned with who you, the viewer, have worked to become. If you resonate as a divine feminine, this is like another divine masculine coming in to take that role, to stand beside you in anchoring in that higher frequency of love on the earth plane. And whoever this kind of like new suitor, this new person is, there's a sense of kind of the bond between the two of you is very ancient. It's unbreakable. It's something that transcends this other individual, like their ability to even comprehend or tap into those energies, because whatever they've been doing in their life, it doesn't align with kind of where you were guided to sort of invest yourself through this process, through maybe you consider yourself to be on a twin flame journey, what that journey has had in store for you and how it's unfolded, choices that you've made has been very different from what this individual that would be getting the tarot reading, what they've kind of the takeaway from all of this, or what they've been doing in this period of time where you've been apart from one another. And so there's a sense of like you've grown in two different directions. And so it's kind of like a never say never sort of circumstance, but at this particular point in time, it's kind of like this person is being put on the bench. They're no longer kind of necessary to fulfill some sort of purpose or mission of like anchoring in that higher vibrational love in the here and now. And whoever this other person is that's coming in or that's already come in, it's like the power of the love between the two of you, between you and this like new individual, it's going to outshine the best of what you experienced with that person getting the tarot reading. It's something where they're going to have no choice. That can tie into that idea of like you're going to know what love is. Energetically, they're still going to be able to feel you, and there's a sense of like the level of your joy or the way in which you are in alignment with that frequency of abundance through the face of love. This is going to be something that sends a clear and loud signal to this individual getting the tarot reading, that may be part of like their learning process, something that may be very uncomfortable for them, needing to kind of like watch you move on with your life and be happy with someone else, and that sends a message home for future incarnations, whatever else they kind of like do with their life in the here and now, to sort of cherish precious experiences when they have the opportunity to experience those. So for some, there may be, the tarot reader may say, all hope is not lost. You can try and redeem yourself, but it's going to take some work. But there's a sense of almost like they need to sit this one out, or there's a season of kind of like rest or inaction that's required on their part, which they may be like excited about, or it could be very frustrating because there's like new love that's coming in for you, somebody that is aligned with like who you've become and can serve some kind of beneficial purpose to you moving forward. And so there's a sense of like almost like a dormant soulmate contract has been activated through this other person, through their inaction in this, or through kind of like continuing to run from you in this circumstance, and then you chased up to a certain point and then discontinued that chase. You've aligned yourself with like a different kind of timeline where there is love that's meant for you, and it's not in the form of like the scraps or the leftovers of what could have been with this other person. It's like reflective of sort of a level up in some sort of way. You've raised your standards, or you've closed out kind of this other experience. You loved yourself enough to kind of release this person who expressed to you they didn't want you, they didn't want this connection. And that level of integrity and self-love is actively and in real time, and for some of you very quickly, getting ready to kind of manifest in a partner that is of that kind of like-minded vibration, that won't bring those same experiences to the table you had with this other person, and can walk with you on kind of this chapter of your story, or this part of your journey. Or for some of you, this might even be like a forever person in this lifetime, the person that you'll be with for the rest of your life, that like this other individual had their time, they had their opportunity, and they chose not to participate or to kind of refuse this situation. And so now they're kind of in this energy of like, okay, now you're going to have to sort of see what you missed out on in some sort of way. Kind of like you didn't stop this other person's happiness or fulfillment. They just kind of rerouted themselves in the direction of something which is still very soul-based, very divine, but very different from the experience you and the person getting the reading had, or kind of what you could have had with one another if they'd made different choices in this circumstance. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got H, O, B, V, D, E, R, R, U, F, N, Y, P, S, G, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you would like a personal reading, there is a link for that in the bio. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the clear quartz. So let's see, what would a tarot reader tell this person about you? Okay, we have dominance, waterproof, and anticipation. So there's an energy here that this tarot reader would tell this person that you are eager for them to reach out. You are open and receptive to work things out, to hear their side of the story, that you're doing the best you can to be kind of like strong, or to, honor kind of where you're at with this person at this point in time. If this is like a current connection, or if it's a no contact situation, you've done your best to kind of honor this person's need for space, or like the silence between the two of you, but that you still have feelings for them. There's still love in your heart for them, or like a hope that it'll be the two of you in the end. There's a sense that they would also tell them, like, you're single, you're unattached right now, even if you're dating or you're putting yourself out there, that there's nobody special or significant in your life at this time. So if this person wanted to like come in and make a move, there would be kind of no obstacles in the form of other romantic suitors that would stand in the way of that. There's a sense that this tarot reader would also tell this person that you've been trying to master some of the aspects within you that had contributed to kind of the crumbling of the connection in the past. So maybe you've been going to therapy, you've been doing some self-help, you've been doing your shadow work, whatever that looks like. You've made progress in terms of dealing with your emotions in a healthier way, better coping mechanisms, better communication skills. You've been putting in that work behind the scenes. And so there's a sense with that you've evolved or matured emotionally in some sort of way. And so you have more love to give. You have more of an ability to kind of receive love in a healthy way, as compared to what the case was before the two of you like went into a separation, or like a no contact situation. Or if this is a current connection, then this tarot reader may tell them that like that's part of your regular self-care, that you're very good about sort of your emotional maintenance, your emotional well-being. You bring a very stable energy in terms of your ability to kind of go with the ebbs and flows of your own moods, your own kind of like wounding. You're somebody that isn't going to kind of just allow triggers to sort of undermine potential. There's a sense that this tarot reader would tell this person you're very brave when it comes to love, that you've been hurt a lot, you've been kind of left out in the cold, or discarded, or kind of abandoned or betrayed or used in your past, but you're somebody who still believes that a beautiful love story is in your destiny. It's in your cards for you. And there's a sense that they'd tell them that like you're somebody that would respond to meaningful romantic efforts on this person's part. So maybe that's like an honest conversation, or something that's kind of with these flowers in the background, like, bring flowers, bring a gift, bring something that, can kind of convey that sweetness or that affection if words fail this person. Like if communicating their affections isn't their strong suit, there's a sense that like you're receptive to other ways in which they can kind of show their love. Kind efforts, kind gestures, even things that this person has kind of made towards you so far, efforts, gestures, little tokens of affection. There's a sense that this tarot reader would tell them they're deeply appreciated. These things are noted, and they're held like in a very sweet place. That you're somebody who's very nostalgic, very emotional, and so you find meaning within things that might kind of just not be kind of received as well or as deeply by other people. There's a sense that this tarot reader would also tell this person that when you love hard. You are loyal to a fault almost. So it's kind of the idea of like, be careful with this person's heart, because you're also the type of person, it feels like, and maybe this is already what's happened in the situation with the two of you up to this point, in terms of anything that's kind of put you in a no contact, or anything as far as like if it's a current connection, sort of what's going on right now, that you're the type of person, you're going to internalize kind of disappointment within. You're not going to be passive aggressive with this person. You're not going to address every single little kind of upset that happens, but that you're somebody who has a tendency to kind of bottle things in, bottle things up, and isolates to kind of cope or to process things, or to kind of move through things. And that might even be because you're invested in kind of working through some difficulties between the two of you, that it's like, okay, we don't get anywhere with arguing, so let me try and just like self-soothe, manage my own emotions, and set the tone for what I expect you to do as well, so that we're not wasting our time with one another, kind of having this back and forth as we get out of this comfort zone, whatever the next phase is between the two of you, or if there's a need to reconcile in some sort of way. You've been strong for a very long time. You've managed those emotions within. If this person is kind of like scared to reach out and sort of like, I don't know, are they gonna yell at me, or are they gonna like hear me out? There's a sense of almost this tarot reader telling them like there'll be a lot of tears that are shed, and they're likely going to be tears of joy. Like they tell them you're very excited to hear from this person. You're optimistic about what the future can hold, and so it may even just be something like, be forewarned, if this person kind of feels uncomfortable around when people cry or openly express emotions, there may be the sense of like, if you say something, whatever kind of the next action step is that happens, or breaking like a no communication or a silence, be prepared that it's going to be like a tearful reunion. Like strengthen yourself inside for that knowing, so you could make the most of it. So let's see what else they would tell this person about you. Okay, we have River of Blessings, release constraints, adjustment, looking back and moving forward, and angelic assistance, divine guidance, loving support. Yeah, so there's a sense that this tarot reader would tell this person like, this is a soulmate, this is a divinely orchestrated connection, you've come into one another's lives to like heal each other through the experience of love. Or this tarot reader may also tell this person that you embody the archetype of a healer. You carry a very strong angelic energy within you, and that's because you've come to terms with your dark side. So there's a sense that they would also tell them like, you're a very sensitive person, but you have learned to not kind of inflict that sensitivity on other people, and sensitive in terms of like, you take criticism very, very personally, or you kind of like you read into energy and kind of beyond words in a way, and there's a sense though that you've learned to kind of manage or control anything that would be triggering, and you apply logic. You've altered your stance in some way, or you're in the process of trying to create more of that balance to be responsive rather than reactionary. Which, if there's like a difficult conversation that takes place and this person is like getting a tarot reading because they're like, I don't know if it's going to make matters worse, is this going to be a good thing, is it the right time, what does that look like? There's a sense that they would be told like, you're in the midst of trying to work on that, that you'd be open to hearing what they have to say, but it wouldn't just be kind of like passively holding space, that you've got a lot of feelings about this, you've thought a lot about this situation, there's a lot that hasn't been spoken, a lot that needs to be worked through, but no matter how that kind of comes out, you're operating in the light, you're moving through this energy of like a higher vibration, and that there's a lot of healing and transcendence beyond whatever's been your experience with one another up to this point, all of that is possible, and you're willing to participate with this, and you're patient with this person as they adjust to that process. There's a sense that this person, this tarot reader, would also tell this person, maybe even that this is kind of their divine soulmate in this lifetime. You are for this individual. That this relationship, the potential, the energies between the two of you has a lot of staying power, but it's something that kind of like you're going to have to work as a team in order to do that. It's going to be kind of a process of give and take, and learning to kind of navigate some rough waters with one another, but that you're both up to the challenge. There's a sense of them also telling this person to kind of still anything within their ego that may, or to start to look at something within their ego that may feel kind of intimidated or threatened by the way that you hold vulnerability as strength. They might also tell them that you've come into their life as like a teacher or a guide to help this person to move beyond kind of how they've defined strength up to this point in time, and start to see that strength and vulnerability within themselves. Like expressions of emotions make them a strong person. It's not a sign of weakness. There's a sense too of them, the tarot, telling this person, this experience, this time and place now, wherever you're at in your journey, it's meant to open old wounds within the two of you, those kind of like abandonment wounds, those disappointments from the past. You're each supposed to kind of open that within one another, but you also possess within each of you the medicine that the other requires. You have to walk through those disappointments in order to come into the place where it's like, okay, now we can receive that healing light, that energy, that exchange, emotionally or romantically from one another, that helps to kind of close the door to the past, helps us to kind of move forth beyond disappointments, pessimism, jadedness as far as love, into the direction of blessings and prosperity and abundance and all those feel-good feelings. There's a sense that they would also tell them to kind of like release the need to know all the answers. Kind of like all you need is this check-in, and what is required next is that bold action, is that trust, is that sense of knowing of like, okay, this energy is real, this chemistry is real, this possibility is real, this potential is real, our experience is real, and to keep trusting that it comes from the forces of good. This is not an experience of like another lesson, but this is almost like the greatest blessing, the reward for continuing to keep their heart open despite whatever has happened to them in the past. So let's get a couple more just to close out this reading and see what else a tarot reader would tell this person about you. Okay, we have Hunter, track down your fears and desires. Summer, bask in joy and light. And Snake, shed old skin. Yeah, so this is the energy of like your love, your energy, your presence in people's lives, although at times it may bring fears to the surface, that you are somebody that helps people to kind of alchemize those fears into love, into medicine for themselves. You may be a healer in the sense of you don't provide that healing, you show the way for others to that capacity to create that medicine, that healing, that remedy within themselves. There's a sense if there's anything that was kind of like a confusion between the two of you, or anything where it was like a no contact, there's a sense that they'd tell them like you're open to kind of working things out, that it will have a very beautiful result, that it's a green light all the way as far as taking those steps forward to begin those conversations, or to travel towards you in some sort of way, that whatever your experience has been, or the cycle that you're in at this particular point in time with one another, that there's more to be experienced. This isn't all that there is in this connection, but it's going to take trust in kind of not just your efforts with one another on a 3D sense, but there's also something about kind of a deeper potential for this love story or your experience with one another to provide you both with a lot of healing. But there has to be a willingness to kind of release the past between the two of you. There has to be a willingness to be kind of like curious about the future, face any fears as far as love are concerned, and talk about those things, work through those things, hold space for one another, as you each individually kind of process all of that. This idea of hunter also speaks to the energy where a tarot reader would tell this person, like, again, you're almost loyal to a fault. When you love completely. That this is not a circumstance that would be like maybe other things they'd had in love, where things were good and then it was all of a sudden taken away, the rug was pulled out from under them, it led to destruction and devastation. There's a sense of kind of like, you're the type of person that will be with someone through insurmountable odds. You've held it down for yourself through some very dark moments. So you bring skills to the table that have been tested. You're like battle tested. You're like battle worn in some sort of way. You don't bring in an ordinary love. You bring in almost a love that has the ability to kind of transcend space and time, to endure things that would crumble sort of lesser connections, or connections built on sort of faulty foundations, as reflective of the foundations within the individuals participating in that love story. You bring something very different to the table. There's a sense that they'd tell them you're willing to work with them wherever they're at in their journey. Maybe that it's kind of like just little bits of conversation, and that's a start, or maybe this is kind of that big moment between the two of you where you agree to kind of take that plunge once and for all with one another, that you're open to that you trust in this person's guidance, in this person's leadership ability, in this kind of invitation for this person to kind of like step up and speak their piece, or express them, like you're open for this person to kind of express themselves or show you a different experience in love and partnership, or different parts of themselves than they've revealed up to this point in time, that you're just as multifaceted as them. It's a sense of almost the energy as well of kind of that you consider them to be like best friend and lover. It's the whole package in a well-rounded sense. A tarot reader would tell them that it would be a very fortunate investment for them to put in the effort to move past their own fears, track down those fears and look them in the face and leap forth into that realm of desire. That you want a connection with them just as much as they want a connection with you, and that all the ingredients are here to really build something very beautiful, very healthy, very healing to the two of you, and very long lasting. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got S, R, B, G, E, Y, J, L, W, M, O, H, A, L, A, R, D, I, and N. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you would like a personal reading, there's a link for that in the bio. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.